The TX-NR7100's 9-channel power architecture, which is within shouting distance of the mythical 10 Benjamin's line, provides a full 5.14 Dolby Atmos system without the need for further amplification. A typical AV receiver, the TX-NR7100 has more features than Jimmy and Rosalind have peanuts. Start with the most confusing connectors, the HDMI ones. Onkyo lists all 6 of the receiver's main HDMI inputs as version 2.1. However, only the first 3 inputs and 2 outputs offer 40 Gbps bandwidth. The other inputs can only receive up to 24 Gbps. The TX-NR7100 also has HDMI capabilities including VRR, ELM, QFT, DSC, QMS, and eARC. The high dynamic range formats HDR10+, Dolby Vision, HDR10, and HLG are all supported. One of the TX-HDMI-NR7100's outputs can serve as second, remote zoom output, although at the moment, only 4K at 60Hz is supported in terms of video. Built-in AirPlay and Chromecast are among the onboard capabilities. Two-way Bluetooth with Bluetooth aptX HD on the transmit side is also included. Although aesthetics are purely subjective and based on personal taste, I think the Onkyo TX-NR7100 looks nice. It has a simple design with a large volume knob on the front and little knobs for tone and sound options. It's the 1900 9.2 now. The front panel's push buttons are used to select the source and tune to AM or FM. Onkyo added 6.35mm and 3.5mm headphone outputs, a room correction mic input, and an HDMI 2.0 connection to the device's front panel. I'll start off by expressing my little grumble about the greenish LED display. I appreciate the warm white of most AV receivers even if I can dim the light to the point where it almost isn't noticeable. You may simultaneously broadcast 2 different zones using Onkyo's main and sub-8K HDMI 2.1 outputs. I can understand why AV aficionados could find this interesting as a flat panel and projector are connected in the same space. Remember that only the main output is capable of supporting ARC or eARC. The Onkyo TX-NR7100 has 6 HDMI 2.1 or HDCP 2.3 ports, with ports 1-3 working at 40 and ports 4-6 at 24. Despite Onkyo's claims that the TX-NR7100 is capable of handling 4K120 on all 6 inputs, only ports 1-3 are uncompressed. What does this mean for your setup? Every port on my LG B9 that I tested with my Xbox Series X obtained 4K120 resolution. All 9 channels have the 5-way binding posts. The surround back and high channels can be used to power zones 2 and 3. Or your front right and left speakers can be bi-amplified. There are 2 subwoofer pre-outs among the remaining speaker connections. The Onkyo TX-NR7100 lacks 2 independent subwoofer pre-outs. Thus your base management will consider them as a single subwoofer. Pre-outs for further external amplification are not present, though. Therefore, if you need pre-outs for external amplification and up to 11 channels of processing from Onkyo, the TX-RZ50 is your only option. There are enough user-assignable analog audio inputs and Zone 2 outputs. The TX-NR7100 supports composite and component video inputs, with the inclusion of a phono input and a few digital inputs. The Onkyo TX-NR7100 is capable of handling any source you can throw at it. The Onkyo TX-NR7100 completed the rear by adding a radio antenna loop, a 12-volt trigger, an IR-in connection, an Ethernet connector, an RS-232 socket for home automation, and a USB input. And now for my second critique. I wish the front panel had also been given a USB port. My flash drive, which contains some of my favorite CD that have been ripped to flak, is difficult to insert into the rear port. My prior AV receiver's front-mounted USB port spoiled me. But it is not a deal breaker. With the Onkyo TX-NR7100, I don't really have any major issues. It just works. I'm not the kind of fanatic who likes to have total control over every aspect of their setup. Control and usability are perfectly balanced in this AV receiver. It should, in my opinion, appeal to both novice and seasoned AV enthusiasts. The addition of Direct and a EQ will appeal to anyone who wants a plug-and-play alternative and a lot of setting flexibility. If I had to pick a weak aspect with the Onkyo TX Direct NR7100, it would be the setup process utilizing the mobile apps, which is difficult and would irritate even ardent users. Excellent Onkyo TX NR7100. The HDMI 2.1 issue has been fixed. It was easy to set up, has a ton of features and power, is a Max and THX certified, and it also has some quite effective room correction.